Kyoto, a city where centuries of history gently collide with the modern world. Here the past isn't just preserved, it's lived. In the clack of sandals on stone pathways, the flicker of candles lighting the way to a hidden shrine, and the steam rising from a bowl of something delicious in an alley you may never find again. Visiting Kyoto isn't about merely checking off a list of tourist spots. This is a place that demands you slow down and absorb it with every breath. Kyoto isn't just visited, it's experienced. But, seeing as how listing travel tips is quite literally what I do on this channel, I'm going to do the exact opposite of my poetic musings and give you a list. So come with me as I show you my favorite temples, the best food, memorable experiences, money-saving tips, and more as we explore the cultural capital of Japan. Tip number 1, how to get in and around. How you get to Kyoto depends on how you're entering Japan. If you're flying straight into Kyoto, the closest airport is Kansai International Airport. From Kansai International, you can catch a train direct to Kyoto Station, super easy. If you're coming from Tokyo, like I usually do, you'll want to take the Shinkansen, or bullet train. Pro tip, grab a seat on the Fuji side of the train, which is the right side of the train when traveling from Tokyo, to get a brief but spectacular view of the mountain. Unless, of course, the clouds decide to troll you that day, then it's just a mountain of disappointment, like dating in your 40s. Once in Kyoto, the public transportation is excellent and goes pretty much everywhere, but the city is incredibly walkable, and it's by far my favorite way to experience the magic of this place. A useful tip, grab an IC card for public transportation. It's like a magical rechargeable credit card that can be used on trains, buses, in convenience stores, and can't ruin your credit score, like an outstanding Blockbuster rental once did for me. And if you understand that reference, it's time to schedule a colonoscopy. Also remember, this is a cash country. Many places do now take credit cards, but a lot of places are still cash only. And unless it's written somewhere, this is not a tipping country. The price is the price. As for when you should visit Kyoto, there really isn't a bad time, but my favorites, along with everybody else's, are autumn and spring. In summers, it can get very hot and muggy, and in winters, it can get cold. But not like Fargo, North Dakota cold. No offense to Fargo. And even in the snow, the city offers something mystical. Tip number 2, where to stay. When it comes to accommodation, Kyoto has many options for every budget, from charming ryokans, traditional inns where you sleep on futons atop tatami mats and eat beautifully arranged seasonal meals served right in your room, to more modern hotels. I like staying in the Gion district, partly for its central location, but also because it feels like it was yanked right out of a samurai film. This time around, for most of my trip, I stayed at the cozy little Granbell Hotel, which you can find on Expedia or one of those aggregate sites for around $300 a night. Not crazy fancy, with an admittedly small room, but an absolutely lovely hotel that even has its own beautiful public bath. Or if you're ready for the ultimate authentic experience, you can stay at one of the aforementioned ryokans, where you'll be pampered to the point where you're 85% sure you become royalty. I had a wonderful stay at Gion Yoshi-Ima, a beautifully preserved ryokan built in the 1700s with rooms that overlook a private garden that feels like an oasis in the middle of the city. Tip number 3, temples and shrines. Let's be honest, this is probably one of the main reasons you came to Kyoto. Gorgeous temples and shrines are everywhere, and they're all incredible. You could easily spend your entire time in this city hopping from one temple to another, but let me give you my favorite highlights. First up, Fushimi Inari Taisha. Famous for its thousands of bright orange torii gates, it's stunning, it's iconic, and if you've ever seen a travel brochure for Kyoto, this is on it. Bring comfortable shoes because the path winds up a mountain, and by the time you hit the top, you'll either feel like a Zen master or someone who just lost a fight with a stairmaster. Get there early. I'm talking before sunrise early to avoid the crowds if you want that empty Memoirs of a Geisha shot. Also a good tip, the higher up the mountain you go, the fewer people there will be. Next, Kinkaku-ji, the Golden Pavilion. Literally a building covered in gold leaf, reflected perfectly in the pond below it. Simply put, it's one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen. The Kiyomizu-dera complex is probably the most visited temple in Kyoto, and for good reason. It's awe-inspiring all year long, but my favorite time is autumn, when the changing foliage takes over like a riot of color. The temple is known for its iconic structures and its massive wooden stage that juts out over the hillside. Fun fact, in the Edo period, people used to jump off of this platform to test their luck. Don't do that. It's not allowed anymore. Probably because it went about as well as you'd expect. If the bright orange torii gates of Fushimi Inari Taisha are Kyoto's most iconic image, then the towering torii of Heian Jingu is a close second. This is the shrine Scarlett Johansson visits in Lost in Translation. Marvel at its grandeur, take a stroll along its wooden walkways, or hop across the stepping stones in the water. Higashiyama Jishoji, or Ginkaku-ji, also known as the Silver Pavilion, is a temple complex with serene Zen gardens surrounded by a beautiful forest that perfectly balances nature and architecture. Strolling through its grounds feels like you wandered right into a haiku. The Nanzen-ji complex is a grand Zen temple that almost feels like a small city unto itself, with the incredible aqueduct bridge that looks like it was plucked straight out of ancient Rome. There's something surreal about seeing this red brick structure surrounded by Japanese trees, yet somehow it all feels in perfect harmony. Daigo-ji, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a sprawling temple complex across the mountainside that includes some of the oldest wooden buildings in Japan. It's particularly stunning in autumn when the leaves blaze red and gold, framing the ancient buildings like a Bob Ross painting come to life. And lastly, make sure to hit up the seasonal illuminations offered by many of the temples. Each season has its own versions, but autumn and spring are the most popular. My favorites were at Kodai-ji, which definitely had a long line to get in, but was totally worth it to watch the reflections on the side of a centuries-old temple and the breathtaking Toji Temple. There are many other temples that offer illuminations, but these were my favorites. Just spectacular. Kiyomizu-dera also has impressive night lights. Just be prepared for the absolute crushing sea of people. Tip number 4, visit Arashiyama and its famous bamboo forest. You've seen it on Instagram, you've seen it on TikTok, you've probably seen it in your dreams if you've scrolled through Pinterest too long. But let me tell you, the Arashiyama Bamboo Forest is just as magical in person as it is online. However, if you want to get that perfect empty forest shot, you're going to need to get there early. Again, I'm talking sunrise early. By midday, it's basically a conga line of tourists holding up their phones. But strolling through this forest feels like entering another world. It's as if you've wandered into a cathedral made by nature, a place where the air itself somehow seems sacred. While you're in the area, check out the nearby monkey park Iwatayama. It's a bit of a steep hike, but at the top you'll find monkeys and some of the best views in Kyoto. Look at that little dude, just adorable. And just up the road, don't miss Otagi Nenbutsu-ji, where over 1,000 unique stone statues stand as charming guardians to a serene hillside temple, each one carved by a different worshiper. And if you're feeling adventurous, ride the Sagano Scenic Railway, which runs along the Hosogawa River, especially in autumn when the colors explode like Mother Nature's own fireworks show. Or hop on the insanely beautiful Hosogawa River boat ride, which is easily one of the coolest things I've done in Kyoto. Both are great ways to soak up the natural beauty of the Arashiyama area. You can buy tickets to the train on your own, but I booked a combo tour of both the train and the river on Klook for $130, and I highly recommend it. And in the evening, don't miss the nearby Kimono Forest, which isn't actually a forest, but an art installation of glowing kimono-covered poles. Very cool, very Instagram-worthy. The Arashiyama area truly is an extraordinary place. Tip number 5, step back in time in Kyoto's ancient streets. Gion and Ninenzaka are Kyoto's most famous neighborhoods, and there's a reason why. Gion is known for its historic geisha houses and its many restaurants, but it's also a district that feels almost suspended in time. Walking through Gion feels like stepping into the past, where every narrow alley and wooden lattice door seem to hold a story. A quick PSA, please don't take photos of geishas without express permission. I know they're super cool and you'll want to, but they're just trying to get to work without being ambushed by selfie sticks. And within the historic city center, Ninenzaka and Sannenzaka feel like you've fallen into a time machine and landed in peak Japan. Cobblestone streets, ancient wooden buildings, delicious food stalls everywhere you look, charming souvenir and art shops. It's basically the Kyoto you've been dreaming about since the moment you booked your ticket. But like everything else in this city, start your day early to avoid the crazy throngs of tourists. You're probably noticing a theme here. When in Kyoto, the earlier you go, the better. Though even when this city is bustling with people, it's still awesome. For even more time travel, visit Kyoto Imperial Palace, the former residence of Japan's emperors. Nestled within the wide open spaces of Kyoto Gyoen National Garden, the palace grounds feel peaceful and regal, with traditional architecture and meticulously maintained gardens. Also, don't miss Nijō Castle, another must-see historical gem. Built in 1603, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is a masterpiece of samurai-era architecture. Wander the sprawling gardens and picture life in feudal Japan. Nijō Castle is as much a work of art as it is a slice of history. Tip number 6, after stepping back in time, let's fast forward into Kyoto's bustling present. Downtown Kyoto, centered around the Kawaramachi station, often gets overlooked, but it shouldn't. Home to the famous Nishiki Market, this place is foodie heaven. Row upon row of vendors selling everything from fresh seafood to snacks. My personal favorite, those little skewers of grilled everything. If it's on a stick, you can bet it's delicious. The downtown area is also home to some wonderful shopping arcades like Teramachi, filled with countless boutique stores, some high-end malls with super fancy tax-free shopping, if that's your thing, and cozy izakaya, or Japanese pubs. And nestled within the busy streets of downtown, there's Pontocho Alley, a narrow lane lined with restaurants and bars that overlook the Kamo River, where the glow of paper lanterns and the scent of grilled food spill out of open windows, mingling with the river breeze. It's one of those places that make you fall in love with the city all over again, even if you're only passing through. Just don't overdo it with the sake, or you'll wake up the next morning questioning all your life choices while staring at a half-eaten skewer. Not that that's ever happened to me. It happened once. Tip number 7, savor Kyoto's sensational food scene. The food here is a combination of centuries-old tradition and modern creativity, which means everything you eat here feels like an edible love letter. First up, if you eat nowhere else in Kyoto, eat a Gion Tanto, a hole-in-the-wall gem famous for its incredible okonomiyaki, savory, delectable pancakes. And while the okonomiyaki is fantastic, it's their yakisoba, perfectly cooked noodles with just the right amount of savory sweet sauce that steals the show for me. Simply one of my favorite things to eat in the city. Another absolute favorite spot is Omen. This place specializes in hand-pulled udon noodles so perfect they will make you question why you ever settled for anything else. And the broth is rich, umami-packed perfection. It's comfort food elevated to an art form. Now let's move along to ramen. First up, you've probably heard of Ichiran Ramen, and not by happenstance. Yes, it's a chain, but don't let that deter you. It's some of the best tonkatsu ramen you'll ever have. Next, tucked away down a small street in downtown, Engine Ramen is all about bold flavors and innovation. My favorite here is their spicy signature bowl of savory goodness. They also have great vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free options. Finally, maybe my favorite ramen place in the city is Honki Daichi Asahi, a local institution near Kyoto Station that has been dishing out ramen for decades. You'll know it's the right spot because there's almost always a line of locals outside. Their shoyu-based ramen is simply perfect. And trust me, where there's a long line of locals, there's usually something worth waiting for. For meat lovers, Kyono Yakiniku Hiro Pontocho is succulent and more tender than you could even believe, particularly the Kobe sirloin. And Wagyu Yakiniku Waya has some of the best grilled meat I've ever had. For the ultimate Kyoto dining experience, you have to try kaiseki, a traditional multi-course meal that's as much an art form as it is dinner. Expect seasonal ingredients and delicate, perfect flavors. My favorite spot is Rowan Kikunoi, which gave me one of the best meals I've ever had. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. Every penny. And speaking of not cheap but worth it, for sushi lovers, Gion Sushi Matsumoto is a spiritual experience. Each piece of fish is crafted with precision and care using the freshest seasonal fish. It's intimate with just a handful of seats, and every bite feels like a revelation. For sushi that's more budget-friendly, Kyoto still delivers. My favorite affordable spot is Sushi Tetsu. Fresh fish, unstoppably good rice, and very affordable prices. This place is fantastic. Another little gem I just happened upon, purely based on the line of locals outside, is Ebisu-Gyoza Nakajima. The gyoza here is probably the best I've ever had, both the pan-fried and the deep-fried. And their black rice is magic. I have no idea what they put in it, but I ordered it 3 times while I was in Kyoto. And while we're on the gyoza train, Chow Chow Gyoza also has some delicious gyoza with completely unique flavors like garlic and even Parmesan cheese. There will be a line, so get here early. And for my final 2 restaurants, Katsukura Tonkatsu Sanjo has ridiculously good tonkatsu, and hidden down a flight of stairs, Gohan-ya Ishin Kyoto is a beautiful little restaurant with home-style food. Everything I've had here is top-notch. Some bonus spots: the soft-serve ice cream in this city is on an entirely different level. My favorite matcha soft-serve is at Matcha House. The candied strawberries on a stick you see everywhere are maybe the best dessert invented by humans. The karaage at Kiriko-an Okamoto Sanenzaka is crispy, tender, and just plain delicious, and I adore all the street food stalls just outside Fushimi Inari Taisha. Try all the things, you will not regret it. Lastly, make sure you head to the aforementioned Nishiki Market. It's Disneyland for foodies. Tip number 8, experience a traditional tea ceremony. No trip to Kyoto is complete without experiencing its tea culture. The traditional tea ceremony is part art, part mindfulness exercise, and part I had no idea there were this many steps to drinking tea. It's not just about sipping matcha, it's about the ritual, the precision, and the quiet sense of calm that seeps into you as you participate. My favorite tea house in Kyoto is Camellia Tea House, set in a tranquil garden house. Here you can witness the art of whisking matcha, a calming and enlightening experience in the name of cultural discovery. There's something almost meditative about the tea ceremony. It's like a dance, a reminder to be present and savor the little moments in life. Drinking tea here feels less like a beverage and more like a spiritual experience. Note, they have 2 locations. I chose the garden house, but both are great. Tip number 9, walk Philosopher's Path. If Kyoto had a mood board, it would be Philosopher's Path. This 2-kilometer trail follows a serene canal lined with picturesque trees and little bridges. The path gets its name from a Kyoto University professor who meditated here daily, which honestly makes sense. Walking this trail feels like you're stepping into a meditation. It's almost painfully picturesque. Along the way, stop at the tiny cafes and shops scattered throughout, or just walk with no destination in mind. Sometimes it's the journey and not the destination. Unless your journey includes a detour to soft-serve matcha. Then it's both. Tip number 10, take a day trip to Osaka. Kyoto's peaceful historical charm is unforgettable, but sometimes you need a little chaos. Enter Osaka, just 15 minutes away by bullet train, a city that's as loud, colorful, and unapologetically brash as Kyoto is serene. Now this is a city of over 2 million people that could easily have its own travel video, but I'll do my best to highlight my favorite spots. Start your day at Osaka Castle, an impressive structure surrounded by an equally impressive moat that offers a breather before you dive into Osaka's culinary frenzy. Head to the top of the castle for some great views of the city. And speaking of great views, the Umeda Sky Building has the coolest escalator in the world and some sweeping views of the city. Then head to Shinsekai for colorful billboards, an iconic view of Tsutenkaku Tower, and some of the best street food in the city. Next, head to Dotonbori, the beating neon heart of Osaka. It's a cacophony of giant mechanical crabs, massive billboards, and the mouth-watering smell of grilled food wafting through the air. Here you can hop on the Tombori River Cruise, drift through the canal, and simply lose yourself in the many sights. But let's be honest, you're here for the food. Osaka is the birthplace of some of Japan's most iconic street food. There's takoyaki, grilled octopus balls. Yes, I know how that sounds, but trust me, they're delicious. Yakitori that will blow your mind. And if you do nothing else in Osaka, make sure to eat Tonkatsu Daiki. The pork katsu here isn't only the best thing I've eaten in Osaka, it's one of the best things I've eaten anywhere in the world. If you're not groaning in delight from overstuffing yourself by the end of the day, you're doing Osaka wrong. Tip 11, make friends with some deer in Nara. Just 45 minutes by train from Kyoto is Nara. It's serene, historic, and most importantly, full of deer. The deer here are everywhere, and they have mastered the art of hustle. Buy the special deer crackers nearby, and they'll actually politely bow for a snack. It's one of the most charming things I've ever seen. But if you hesitate, they are not afraid to give you a good headbutt. Unbearably cute, yes. Slightly aggressive, also yes. Nara is also home to the absolutely massive Kodai-ji temple. This place is so impressive, words and video simply do not do it justice. The temple houses the Great Buddha, a giant 49-foot bronze statue that somehow manages to feel both awe-inspiring and comforting. And the temple itself is one of the largest wooden structures in the world. Walking through it feels like entering a sacred space you've only just begun to understand. I dare you to visit Nara and not be completely enchanted. Tip number 12, if you're willing to venture a little further out, a day trip to Hiroshima is unforgettable. Just under 2 hours by train, you'll arrive in a city known for its tragic history as one of the 2 bombed in World War II. And what you'll find here is both sobering and inspiring. Start at the stunning and haunting atomic bomb dome, its skeletal remains standing as a testament to destruction and resilience. Stare up at its fractured frame, a symbol of remembrance and strength, and take a moment to reflect on its profound story. Nearby, the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum walks you through the aftermath with humanity and unflinching honesty. It's an experience that leaves a mark and stays with you long after you leave. Then a 30-minute train ride and a 10-minute ferry ride away, let the beauty of Miyajima Island remind you why we rebuild. The iconic floating torii gate of Itsukushima Shrine is as gorgeous as every postcard claims, especially at high tide when it seems to hover on the water. Wander the charming island streets where deer roam freely and soak in views so breathtaking they feel like a reward for making the trip. Hiroshima is a reminder of resilience, beauty, and the strength to keep moving forward. My highest possible recommendation. Tip number 13, if there's one final piece of advice I can give you for Kyoto, it's this. Just let yourself get lost. Wander down alleys that aren't on the map, stumble upon hidden shrines, and give yourself permission to slow down. Stroll through the wide open spaces of Kyoto Gyoen National Garden, enjoy the beauty and serenity of Maruyama Park, take a walk along the Kamo River where locals picnic, bike, and play music by the water, or, hear me out, do nothing at all. Sit on a bench, watch the world go by, and remind yourself that sometimes the best memories come from the moments you didn't plan. Kyoto isn't just a city, it's a feeling. From the rustle of bamboo to the delicious bitterness of matcha on your tongue to the laughter of friends gathered over a shared meal, this is a place that teaches you to slow down and find beauty in the smallest details. Whether you're walking ancient streets, discovering hidden corners, or simply sitting by the river, Kyoto will find a way to stay with you. It's not just a trip, it's an experience you'll carry long after you've gone. So go, get lost, get inspired, and eat everything. Kyoto is waiting. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. Also hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Links to everything are in the description, but if I missed any of your favorite Kyoto spots, especially food, please throw them in the comments below. I always love to hear from you. One huge thank you to my mom who joined me out there and learned how to use a gimbal just to get many of the shots in the video. Arigatou gozaimasu, Mama-san. Some of my other videos are somewhere up there. Make sure to check them out, and I'll see you soon from somewhere else in the world.